They got Willa. They got my daughter. I need to find her. Ah!
From acclaimed director Paul Thomas Anderson.
You can save that girl.
Today, experience what is being called the best movie of the year.
This is the end of the line. Not for you.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Tiana Taylor, Chase Infinity.
Let's go!
One battle after another. Now playing only in theaters. Experience it in IMAX. Rated R. Under 17 animated without parent.
You can hide.
Finish training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
You're listening to the Super Rugby Cymru podcast.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the SRC podcast. Joining me, Big M, as always, Joe Wilson and John Harris. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Very good, thank you.
Good.
Great to be back.
Yeah, John, it's been a while. What have we been up to, bud? Anything interesting?
No, I had a nice little holiday to Portugal. Not ditching the podcast off to watch football, as you told the fans. I did watch it when I was on holiday, but the main reason was because I was on holiday. But just birthday on the weekend, so I had a good swig, which I'm just about feeling recovered from. So yeah, all good.
Happy days. Okay. So the week kicked off last Thursday night down the Newport Stadium. It's really weird for me to say that. I'd never thought, any rugby team from Newport would be away from Rodney, but there we are. So either of you catch a game?
It looks weird, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
It looks weird when they're not playing at Rodney. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we just had a little discussion off air, and that in goal line was just
comedic. Comedic. It was terrible. No Murrayfield, was it?
Nah, if they can get back to Rodney, they need to get back to Rodney, but obviously that's a story for another day. Did either of you get to see the game live?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Joe.
I saw most of it.
Okay, that's good. Joe, I'll start with you. Give me your opening thoughts on this one.
Yeah, it was a hell of a game. I think this was the game that I said last week. I thought Newport were going to win, but if anybody could go to Newport with the form that they were in and get a win, it was going to be Llandovery, and that proved to be the case. I think Newport will be kicking themselves. Just a really, really slow start first half, and it was bizarre. The first 20 minutes they were just really, really inaccurate. There was a couple of knock-ons. It just started really, really painfully for them the first half, Newport, and they didn't ever recover. They got that Joe Peard yellow card as well, which would have hindered them first half, and then they go in at half time. They're 17-7 down, and they never really got to grips with Llandovery's attack either, did they? I thought a feature of Llandovery's attack for the, it's been something that they've been building to, and we've seen glimpses of it in other games. But they started attacking the line with an inside and an outside threat on their pod, and that inside pass was a feature in the first half. And I think Newport just making a few of the wrong reads, Llandovery were able to get over the gain line. But I thought it was telling that Llandovery were able to make quite as many line breaks as they did through the middle of the park in both halves. And that would have had a lot to do with the fact that those pods were able to go both sides of the ball carrier, and if they wanted to, then out the back with a second layer of attack. So I thought probably Newport's possibly poorest performance of the season. But fair play to Llandovery. They started quickly and they capitalised on it. 17 points in the first half, 13 in the second half. So well done, Llandovery, really.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% there. I mean, what we saw in this Llandovery side was, not the complete opposite, but a lot more assured performance, edging out against Ebbw in the previous week. And, bringing Johan Hughes back in, there was a lot more of a controlling element to the game. They literally held Newport out for 70 minutes. What was it, like 30 points to 14 going into that final 10?
Yeah.
And it seemed as though it wasn't until they were like, okay, the win is secure, they sort of let their foot off the gas and Newport came back into it. And I'll be honest, awesome performances from both centres for the Drovers. Everyone knows how good Adam Warren is, and Roger Jones are just superb. Just watching them work together, it was lovely. They're probably annoyed at themselves. They were in a position where they could have gone for the 6 points, and they've only actually come away with 4. 16 points up, 10 minutes to go, 3 tries. A few more begging already on the pitch. They might think that killer instinct isn't quite up to speed, but they've obviously massively improved. We just need to wait a couple more weeks to see if it's just the TV cameras that are doing it. So, John, what are your thoughts on this one, bud?
Yeah, it was a really good game. It was like Llandovery properly turned up. I think I picked Newport in my predictions, but like George said, I thought Llandovery just looked a lot more composed, they looked a lot more sharper this week than they have been. And the back line just looked like it was more accurate. They just looked more switched on. And like I say, the centres were outstanding. Adam Warren again. And yeah, I think the scores flattered Newport, I think, a little bit. But credit to Newport as well. They saw they could get something out of that game at the end, and they kept going right to the death and come away with 2 points, which put on top at the time. But I think that's a great result for Llandovery after the way they started the season. Fair play to them.
Yeah, and I think this is a great result for the league in a whole as well. I know we touched on it last week. Every team in this league has now lost a game within the opening 5 weeks of the season. We're only waiting on Swansea to pick up a win, which they were quite unlucky with this past week. So we'll come straight on to Swansea at home to Cardiff. Comfortable win in the end for Cardiff down at St Helens, but 38-29 doesn't tell the whole story. So, Joe, you were a resident Cardiff man. Tell us how this one went.
Yeah, I think I picked Cardiff to win by quite a lot last week, but that was off the back of what was a pretty poor Swansea performance at against Bridgend. And obviously Cardiff doing what they'd done the previous week. This was a much closer affair, although in reality, I think from about 25, 30 minutes out into from the end of the game, Cardiff pretty much had this, in the bag and taken care of. Swansea offered a lot more defensively this week. There was definitely a concerted effort to compete at the breakdown, and I think that caused Cardiff a few issues in the first half. But I think ultimately a feature of this Cardiff team has been trying to get parity of possession, which the Pack were able to do this week, and their electric backs. I know Stefan Manuel got man of the match. He was outstanding. He was absolutely outstanding. He thoroughly deserved the award. And obviously the main beneficiary of that was Tom Bowen, who bagged another hat-trick again this week. But Stefan Manuel just seems to have a really experienced player's head on young shoulders. He just seems to make some really good decisions. Able to put people in space, able to hit lines if he needs to, able to put in those 50-22 rubber kicks as well. So he's just a complete package and playing like a player that's got some real promise. Really, really excited about him. So I think the scoreline for me, probably partially flattered Swansea, although it was a much improved performance. I thought Cardiff really were, they'll take it, but they'll be disappointed they didn't get more from it.
Yeah, so far this season, we've seen Cardiff, produce some pretty good performances, with 50-0 demolishing of the Quins in the previous week. They've done a job on Edu Vale, live on SP Direct, obviously winning up in RGC, which hasn't been, an easy job, as we've seen this season. But you're talking, what was it, about 10, 15 minutes into that second half. I think it was Luca Giannini had crossed for the second try for Swansea, and they were 24-14 up. Now, at that point, my brain starts ticking, going, are we going to see Swansea pull something out by here? So we've actually seen, more from this Cardiff side. We've seen a lot of character come out to them to actually pull themselves back into it. That's the thing that has impressed me just following this game along. I mean, Swansea, like John, you overly said, like almost every week you've been on, Swansea you're expecting more. They just not come in. And this week they did give a little bit more, but obviously Cardiff has in the bank already. I'm seeing this as a positive for Swansea. This is a good move forward. Obviously this week, the shorter turnaround they play on the Thursday at the Drovers on TV. It's going to be difficult for them. So, John, where do Swansea really go from here? We're seeing signs of improvement. Are we going to see any more this week?
Oh, I don't really know. I'm surprised with the score. It is closer than I thought. I thought this could have been a really, a 6-pointer for Cardiff initially. But still, again, from the great position Swansea got himself into in this game, and then they've conceded 3 tries in 8 minutes then, and 4 tries in the last 20. And, it's hard to see where they go from. I'm still... I can't see where they're going to get a win from, to be honest, which sounds harsh. But
I agree.
Unless they play us at the moment, to be honest. But no, that's a joke. But yeah, we know Cardiff are quality anyway. But I don't know what to make of Swansea this year. Because they score in tries. They score in some great tries. They've got a bonus point out of that. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be going to Llandovery now on a Thursday night after Llandovery's performance last week. But they need to show that defence up, I think, because they're leaking a lot of points. So I really don't know. I don't know what to say because I just keep expecting a little bit more and it's not coming. So I don't know what to say.
Yeah. So if we know how good Cardiff can be. We know some of the boys, like you've already alluded to, Tom Bowen with the second hat-trick of the season. He doesn't like to score singles or braces. He has to do them in threes.
No.
Steph Emanuel showing...
When he's on fire.
Steph Emanuel showing his class, whether he's a 10, 12, or whatever you end up putting him on the field. I want Swansea to do better. We all want Swansea to do better. We didn't have, a couple of boys, Morgan Morse, one that we have spoke about in the past. He has been absent for these past couple of games. So, there's still room there for Swansea and they're still not at 100%, but we'll keep going.
It's difficult for them, isn't it? Because obviously I think this week we've seen in the press, the Ospreys are obviously struggling for numbers as well. Toby Booth's been in the media talking about, there's a whole side missing with a bench as well. For 40% of the squad are missing, I think I heard today. And you look at that and you fear for Swansea because whatever resources they've been given are going to be getting pulled back into the Ospreys as a region for games coming up for them. So, look, they've just got to dig in, get that mentality, fortress mentality sorted, and just start battling for everything. But I genuinely thought this was a much better improved performance from the previous week. They've just got to pull it together for a full 80 minutes. They probably just ran out of a little bit of steam against Cardiff. I think that the last 20 was quite telling. So they're they're very close to clicking and getting the victory, but there's no easy games in this league, and that's going to be the challenge.
No.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next game now, and John, this is right down your alley. Aberavon playing host to Bridgend.
Yeah.
Nail biter, absolute nail biter. Bridgend just doing enough in the end, 29-28. Were you at the ground this week, my friend?
Yeah, I was there for this one. It was my birthday on the Sunday, so this was my day out. So I must admit, I was quite well lubricated watching this one. I'd already been out for a couple of hours before it. Shout out another New Jersey. This one, they have the New Jerseys in for this season, so that's got a couple of those in. This was frustrating is the best I could think of, because, and this is no disrespect to Bridgend, but this was the way our season started. I was like, right, well, this is where we need to target this one now, and we need to get back to winning ways. We do well against Bridgend, especially at home, so we should be. It wasn't like dismissing them, but I was like, we should be winning this now at home and getting points from this one. But Bridgend turns up, and fair play, they just seem to want it a little bit more. They seemed a bit more aggressive, a bit more switched on. There was a bit of they played the wind well in the first half. There was a strong wind, so they had that on their backs, but we knew then it was going to come back to us in the second half. Some great tries again. But we forcing a few things. We made a few just one-arm first up tackles missed, leading to a try, and then another one come from like a drop pass, I think. But they got them. The Wizards got themselves back into it then in that second half. Scored some cracking tries again. But there was a period then about 60 minutes in, Bridgend just scored just as it was. Aberavon had all the momentum. Bridgend just killed it dead with two quick tries. Just took it away from Aberavon, and so we just chased it for the last 10 minutes. But again, could have licked it right at the death. Just a shame that the try was a bit far out, right on the touchline. But we got two cracks at it because Bridgend charged it down too early. So I was thinking, oh, well, Dunford's got his eye in by now. We'll have this is going over. I was standing up on the railing screaming. And it's just gone wide. So another game where we've lost 3 or 4 now, but that could easily, I think, be 3 or 4 wins. But this is good for Bridgend, I think. I think they did deserve the win. They were just that little bit better. But some great performances from the youngsters again, which I'm going to take half from. I thought Bridgend's outside half was excellent. He ran the game for them. He was very good. So we've got to regroup now, and I think cut the errors out. Unforced errors. We're gonna. These wins are going to come. I think. I'm keeping the faith. I think there's a good team there that's going to start beating teams soon. But again, what's this Bridgend up to now? Is it 4th? I think 4th or 5th. They've had a good season. Good show.
Roller joint top, don't they?
Yeah.
They brought some good support down as well. Got a good few beers with a few of them in the clubhouse after the game. That was fun.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see where both of these go from here. Now, can Bridgend take on now after they've got, I think it's 3 wins now for 5? And, well, we've got to go to Cardiff now on Saturday and get something. So it's not getting any easier. But there's no easy games in this league anymore. Anyone can beat anyone on the day.
Yeah. One thing I want to know from you, being in that crowd on the day, that first score from the restart, what was our crowd like as that just happened? Obviously 3-0 down against Bridgend, or they're making the first points. Yeah. Restart, that's one thing working on this week's restarts, you've got that down. What was that like going in?
That was, well, he Corey Lewis-Jenkins very nearly did the exact same thing from the first kickoff or restart, and he got up there, almost caught it a couple of minutes before that one, and just knocked it on. So yeah, that was great to see, and that's where I was stood. He scored it right in front of where I was standing, and that was pretty. Yeah, that was pretty special. That was. He looks a good player. That boy.
Happy days. So obviously, you were leading at the hour mark, and like you said, that 5 minutes where Jen got a couple of tries, they really took a stranglehold on that game. So Joe, what are you thinking on this one, mate? Were Aberafan unlucky in the end, or should Bridgend have done better really to hold out?
I think the game was there for Aberafan to win. I genuinely do. I think they're a difficult proposition to beat at home, especially this team. And I betted against them previously when they were at home, and they won. And I betted on them this week to beat Bridgend down there, and they were one conversion away from doing it. Corey Lewis-Jenkins got 2 tries, and I honestly I think it's one of those performances with it being a 1-point loss. I don't think Jason Hyatt can beat them up. When they go into and do a little bit of video analysis on this, there was so little in it. I just think, for me, there was very little to choose between the packs. I just think Bridgend's backline probably just edged it in the end. And, we've spoken about the threats that Bridgend backline have got. And I just felt watching the game that they were probably the difference, the Bridgend backline. But there was virtually nothing to choose between these two sides. And I think Jason Hyatt will be chuffed with the way that young Aberafan team performed, and they're not far from turning the corner and being in a position where they're going to beat Bridgend. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this fixture got reversed in the reverse fixture. It was that.
Yeah. One thing we did see, if you watched the highlights, now Aberafan are a young side, but you do normally have quite a strong pack. For either Bridgend's second or third try, it was an Aberafan put in at the scrum. Bridgend really turned the screw, put you on the back foot, ball gets knocked on somewhere in the back line, and Bridgend on transition, they just move that ball so fluidly, and Llewellyn goes over. I mean, if you're looking for great positives to work on from a Bridgend point of view, you've got to say that their set piece is starting to work. And, we've all spoken about, Bridgend seeming to be a rather smaller, more fluid type of team this year, but that set piece is working for them. So it's going to be...
And I think Bridgend on transition as well, they're a definite threat. You can tell they're working on that.
Yeah, 100%. And, This isn't the end for either side. Obviously, we're still very early days, and like you've already alluded to, John, Cardiff this week it's going to be a difficult one, and Bridgend get to play host to Ebbw Vale, so that's going to be a tasty one for them. So on to the next game now. We're going to travel a bit further west now, and we're going to see Carmarthen Quins game against Pontypool. And my heart couldn't take this one. Quins really put in a brilliant attacking performance, but it seems to be a trend so far this season defensively. They're building up a lead and they're letting teams come back in. Thankfully, they held out 41-31 in the end. But I don't know what to say about this. They do have a very strong attack, are undefeated at Carmarthen Park, that beautiful bowl. You got to love it there. They actually pulled a boy up from St. Clair's, who are playing Division 1 rugby at the minute, to play 13 for them. Jack Howell's got a try on debut, so well done to him. Their attack is definitely clicking. Defense, on the other hand, they're leaking heavy points. I know we've already alluded to this last week after that 50 against Cardiff, and now another 30, but this time at home. And being positive about Carmarthen, they're picking up wins. They're scoring plenty of points, but that defence is an issue. John, what did you make of this
one? That's a really good win, I think, for Carmarthen after that 50-0 hammering last week at Cardiff. You needed to follow that up with a result, I think, didn't you? I think that's a freak result, that one last week against Cardiff. I don't see that happening again. I think Carmarthen on the whole have been very good this season. I think they've with RGC have been a surprise package. I think I've been really impressed with them. I thought this might be a little bit closer. I think I might have even picked Pontypool to sneak this one. I can't quite remember. But yeah, they attacked us, looked pretty good. They scored some really good tries if you've watched the highlights. And obviously, we've always said week in, week out, the attack is. So, but as well as Carmarthen, I think Pontypool are starting to leak a lot of points lately. Was it 60 odd last week as well?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think the week before might have been 30, 40 odd as well. So they need to just sort their defence out as well. But a great result for Carmarthen. Again, I'm just having fun about this league a little because I just can't call anything. It's just pointless doing predictions every week because we're just getting them wrong anyway. So whatever we do.
Speak for yourself,
I'm getting them wrong then anyway.
Yeah, so all credit.
Impressed. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of credit does still need to go to Pontypool. You know, they are still one of the top sides in this league. You know, they've had the sort of bounce around with the issues around their head coach leaving. You know, Tom Hancock stepping in as that head now. So it's still a little bit of time, you know, a bit of leeway for them to get all things properly settled in. Like that news only came a few weeks ago. So Joe, I'll come over to you now. But Pontypool, should they be worried, or is this just part of their process?
No, I think Tom Hancock, he was actually announced before the game last weekend, and obviously he hadn't had a chance to have a look at the players and have his influence on training. This side that was selected to play down at Quins, there was 3 or 4 changes from the previous week. One of those was definitely an injury, but some of it would have been what Tom's seeing. So, look, they're not far off here. So this was 10 points, and having seen the highlights of some of the highlights of the game, and having spoken to a couple of boys in the pack down there, they felt that they were just really indisciplined throughout the game, and a few too many unforced errors. And I think it's something Tom Hancock then later alluded to on social media. And I think they'll be kicking themselves, Pooler, because they've got the kind of pack that can cause a problem for most sides in this league. And if they get that, a little bit like the Cardiff scenario, if they can get that parity of possession, keep it a low error count game, then they're always going to be in with a shout. I mean, it's interesting. I think I'm right in saying they're the only team this week that scored over 30 points and didn't win. So they're not a million miles away from where they need to be. But fair play to Carmarthen Quins. I think Lewis Morgan, the hooker, got 2.
Yeah,
which puts him as the SRC's top try scorer on 7. Fair play, which is outstanding. And obviously Carmarthen Quins beat Carmarthen Athletic, so the club must have been bouncing on Saturday night, I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to point out, like, Lewis Morgan, obviously a hooker. A lot of tries do come from the maul, but they're not all pushovers. He does like taking that line from about 3 to 5 meters out. He does like to separate and go himself, which, you know, fair dues to the lad, he's incredibly accomplished at. So that's 4 games down. The last one, it takes us down into Ebbw where this was a strange one. You know, Ebbw riding high from, you know, victory over Llandovery 31-28, that last minute kick. You know, and, you know, they were down for majority of this game at home to RGC. You know, the scoreline in the end, 31-16, you know, a 6-point win. You know, it makes you think that it was rather comfortable for them, but honestly, watching this one back, trying to follow it on the day, see, I think it was like 16-15 at about the hour mark, maybe even a bit later. And I was thinking, RGC going to really do it, but this is, this isn't the all attacking, the Flair boys from the north that we're used to. They're showing a lot more grit here. And it quite frankly probably does them a bit of an injustice, that 15-point margin. But they're showing that they have got what it takes in this time to win now away from home. They just need to get over the line and doing it. When you can go somewhere like Ebbw who are, what would we say, everyone would probably admit they're a top 3, top 4 team in this league, and put them under the
definitely.
And come within just a couple of decisions of really making a win happen. No, it's a great improvement for them. So, Joe, you've been championing RGC since the start, really. So, what happened in this one?
Well, if you remember last week, we were talking about the fact that RGC had 4 home games, I think, to start the season with, or something like that, because they played a lot of time on the carpet and they struggled the previous week, perhaps with a change of surface. And we were sort of saying last week we fully expected RGC to come out and take the learnings from what is a slightly slower surface. And that was sort of proven in the halftime score. They were up, I think, 13-7, was it, at halftime? So, you could definitely say that they learned their lessons. They controlled the game really well. They started well. But they just seemed to run out of steam in the second half. And I think that'll be a little bit of a concern for them, because I think it was a feature of the previous week's game. So they're definitely one of those sides that are struggling to play on an old-fashioned pitch, and then perhaps it is sapping the legs, when they get on that grass surface. I don't know, but yeah, they'll be kicking themselves from the 2 games, because they didn't really show what they were capable of last week, and now this week that first half performance was spot on. They just didn't kick on and sort of build upon the 16 points they'd scored in the first half. If they'd have done that in the second half, they'd have won by a point. So they're not a million miles away. But I think if you've got a grass pitch and you're hosting RGC, you're looking for that second half drop off, because it's proving to be a little bit of a feature, I think.
Yeah, and all credit still to Ebbw for actually coming away with the victory. It shows a lot of mental toughness when you are down for vast majority of the match, and then to come back with what was a massive, I think it was 16, 17 points in our last 10 minutes, a penalty try. And they've only lost that one game against Cardiff, who we've all said they were really uncharacteristic. So this is still a very strong Ebbw. So, John, over to you on this one.
Yeah, same as what you guys are saying. I think Ebbw look very, very good this season. They're going to be, they're going to be a top 3 side. Well, they are a top 3 side, but by the end of the season, they're going to be in that top 3, I think, easily. But fair play to RGC, because obviously they've gone up there and competed really well against one of the best sides in the league. And it's 75 minutes, it's 17-16, that could be anyone's game then. But like I said, like you boys have said about their pitches, they just faded away then that last 10 minutes. And they've got to give credit to Ebbw as well to finish them off and score that many points in the last 10 minutes after being behind for 90% of the game. That's a credit to Ebbw, I think, and what they're trying to do this season. But I'd be interested to see where Ebbw go from here, and gives me heart about well haven't played when they went up there in the first game of the season, because we could have easily come away from there with a win. So I think it's good to see from RGC. So if they can work on that fitness, maybe if that's what it is. But yeah, 2 good sides here, and fair play to Ebbw. They're going to be top 3 by the end of the season. I think anyone who goes up there is going to. If you go up there and come away with something, you've earned it.
Oh, damn straight, absolutely. So that brings us roughly to the halfway stage this week. If you like what we're doing, if you're still listening in, Give us a like, share, follow, subscribe. Every little bit helps. Drop a comment. We want the engagement. We absolutely love it. Now, normally at this point, we would start talking about this week's Thursday game. But the teams haven't been announced just yet. Swansea, I believe, will Thursday morning. Llandovery have a knack of not announcing them until we're coming to the end of this recording. So I'm pushing them to the back this week in the hopes we do get some Llandovery team news circa 9 o'clock on the Wednesday, which is about 10 minutes away right now. So first game to talk about, you boys are coming head to head. Cardiff against Aberravan. So I'm going to let you two have a little scuffle by you before I settle the odds at the end. So, John, I'll come straight to you. What do Aberravan need to do to really take some points out of cap?
I think the main thing we've got to do is string an 80 minutes together. I know whenever we play, we know we're going to get a purple patch. But what we need to do is stop needing to rely on waiting for our purple patch to come for us to get back into a game or get ahead. Because we've got the pack to compete with people. We've got some special boys in that back line. I don't think we're far away, but you couldn't ask for a better test now after losing at home to Bridgend. If you go to Cardiff and get something, what more motivation do you need than that? Now, you probably go into arguably the best team in the league on their ground, so you're going to have to perform. You're going to have to show up Saturday, or it's going to be a fucking long afternoon, like it was when we played them at Cardiff last year and they put 60 points on us. So I don't see that happening again. Bookies has got us plus 16. Obviously, Cardiff are favourites 1 to 10, Aberravan 5 to 1. Aberravan 16-point head start with the bookies. They're not usually that far off, are they? Cardiff have won the last 5 games. Cardiff have won 4 of them, including the last 3, I think. So I think it's going to take a massive performance to get something out of that game. But I actually feel quietly confident that I think I could see a performance, a full performance come in, and I think it could be this one on Saturday. So I might be being blindly optimistic, but I'm gonna say Aberravan to sneak this one. But it's going to be bloody hard against a quality Cardiff side. But I just think there's a performance coming.
That's exactly what we want to hear. We want to hear you back in your own club, regardless of how deluded you may actually be. I love hearing it. I say it myself. I mean, you're going to review, obviously, this is round 6. After round 7 next week, there's a bit of a break. So, this first block of fixtures is coming to an end. You did have that abandoned game against Newport, but you've only picked up...
So we would have won that one as well.
Yeah, okay.
100%.
So far on the table, you've only got that one win, but the performances have been strong. There's no denying you're in the fight in practically every game. So that is a positive. You just need to start churning out these wins. Don't quite think it's going to happen this week. And in all honesty, seeing that you host the Drovers the week after, who are on a bit of a resurgence, I think you are going to stay at the one win for this block. So, Joe, what are Cardiff going to exploit in this Aberravan side, my friend? And I'm already assuming you're back in Cardiff this one. I don't even need to ask.
Yeah, I think Aberravan will be competitive. I'm not expecting a blowout here, and I think this will be, for me, one of the few games that will almost certainly go ahead with the weather that's forecast this weekend, because obviously they're playing a cap on the 4G. I think the problem for Aberravan is they're scoring tries, but they're not getting many bonus points, and that's probably a feature of their play. I think this weekend just gone, I'm just looking at the history, is probably the most points they've scored this season. Was it 28? So I just think if they're going to have a hope of winning, they're going to have to breach that. But I'm not expecting the game to be decided until well beyond 50 minutes, 55 minutes. I think this will be a tight affair, but I think Cardiff will come good in the end, and I think those backs will be a feature. But Aberafon are going to have to back up last weekend's performance, and they're going to need 30 points plus to win, I think, this weekend. But for me, it's Cardiff, as you predicted.
Yeah, so we've already spoken about it with Swansea and the Ospreys losing a lot of boys. We've seen a lot of injuries in the Cardiff Rugby's squad. Are the Rags at danger of losing some players in this match?
It could be, and it'll be in the area that they don't want to lose them. It'll be in that pack area because the backline's pretty young. That said, there's a handful of boys returning at Cardiff as well. So I know that Talupe Falatau's trained for the region. Josh Adams back in training on the training pitch. So hopefully that's going to free up a couple of other boys to sort of drop down and feature for Cardiff RFC. But I think the one loss that the Cardiff have had has come about because they haven't had parity of possession, and that Aberafon pack is a tough pack to put down. So if they do lose a load, Cardiff might struggle, and the weather's a leveler. So I'll back Cardiff, but like I say, I think this won't be decided until the back end of the time.
And this is now why I like having three of us on here. So it's a 2-1 win for Cardiff. The missing man, Rob Rees, he's holidaying it up somewhere, probably getting a lovely tan in Somerset or something.
It's not Ebervale RFC. Jason's revoked his visa, apparently.
Oh, 100%. I'm not surprised with that at all. So, being as though you just mentioned, this is the one game I haven't been able to pick before today. Ebbw Vale travelling to Bridgend. Now, I'm a bit of a pendulum. I'm more in favour of Ebbw Vale, but I can swing. So, Joe, I'll bounce straight back to you. Where's this one being won and who's winning it?
Is this me?
Yeah. Is he all coming to you?
This. Do you know what? If this was being played on a carpet, I'd back Bridgend every day of the week and twice on Sundays. But because it's on grass and because I'm expecting the weather to be awful, I think Ebbw Vale's pack are going to do a number here. And I'm going to tip Ebbw Vale by seven points. I just think they've got a very big pack. I was really impressed with the way that they played down at Cardiff. They didn't lose at Cardiff because the pack didn't lay the platform. It was more the fact that the backs probably didn't take advantage effectively enough of the possession and platform that they were given. Now, roll forward a couple of games. They've scored 31 points last weekend. I think Ebbw Vale are scoring tries and they're getting their bonus points. So they're one of those teams that for them, the weather deteriorating is not a problem. They're more than happy to stick it up the jumper and pound teams. And I think Bridgend's first weekend was a bit wet down in Newport, wasn't it? I think from memory. They struggled with a big pack. So I'm going to tip Ebbw Vale for an away win here. Fair
enough. I think you've convinced me as well. Ebbw Vale's going to get 2 votes on here. John's going to be the decider. There's going to be all for one for nothing. But yeah, credit to Bridgend. They've got some wins on there, but they're letting teams back in. And I think that's a weakness that this Ebbw side are going to start to exploit. John, are you coming at us with anything different, my friend?
Well, I didn't obviously know what the weather was going to be like on Saturday. I assumed it wasn't going to be great. So, Joe, it's going to be pissing down, is it, on the weekends?
Yeah, we got rain now until the weekend. It might dry up, but I think the damage will be done to the surfaces.
Well, I had an inkling for Bridgend, but I think Joe's actually convinced me now as well with I forgot how big Ebbw Vale pack is after seeing them in person on that first day of the season. And I think that's probably is what it's going to come down to. Bucky's got Bridgend with a 4-point head start. So Bridgend 5-4, Ebbw Vale 4-7. We've got Ebbw Vale won 3 out of the last 5 and won the last one at the Brewery Field. So I think, my kind of heart wants to say Bridgend. I want to say they're going to follow up that way when that's with a home win. And so, you know what, bollocks to it. They will. I'm going to go Bridgend for they're going to follow up in a way with a coming back to the Brewery Field and win at home. Yeah.
Oh,
I thought John, I thought you were going to call a draw then.
Yeah,
You talk me into it, and I'm going to talk myself out of it. So yeah, I'm going to go Bridgend.
Oh, man, I'm liking this. This is going well so far. Okay, so moving us down now. Pontypool at home to Newport. For me, Pontypool are not quite clicking in every area, and Newport are going to want to make a statement after that loss last Thursday. So we know what quality this Newport side is, and I'm obviously back in Newport. I've already made that abundantly clear. So, John, I'm assuming you've got the odds already in front of you.
Yes, I'm ready. He's got his Pontypool 2-1 and Newport 4-11 on. So 8-point start, 8-point head start they give in Pontypool. Newport won both these fixtures last season. I could see Pontypool turning from Newport over, to be honest, because it's at Pontypool Park. I don't think there's not going to be much in this. I see less than maybe 5 points at most, 4 or 5 points being in this, if that. So I think it's going to be really close and really physical, definitely physical. And I'm gonna go Pontypool just to sneak this one.
Happy days, a mix-up already. Joe, we are coming to you for the decider. I agree with most of what John says. This is going to be a very tight fixture. You are deciding this for us, my friend. Pontypool or Newport at Pontypool Park. What's it going to be?
Well, we've got a Gwent derby on our hands, chaps, and back in the day, these were blood and thunder derbies, and I think this is going to be no different. We've got a grass wicket to play on, which neither side will be bothered about. They'll be quite comfortable with that. And I think last weekend, both sides really stuttered to really perform at their peak. And it's funny because Newport really, if you've studied any of their games this year, although they've been winning, they've not been playing anywhere near what they're capable of. They've probably touched an 8 out of 10 once all season, and they got caught last week. They'll be eager to bounce back, but I don't see them beating Pontypool at Pooler Park. I think the wetter the weekend gets, the more it suits Pontypool. And I think that new regime under Tom Hancock at Pooler are doing good things. They were behind last week. They were error-strewn last week. They were indisciplined, and I'm backing Pooler to put that right this week. And it's going to be an old-fashioned classic, this one. I think there's going to be a real physical battle between the packs, and I think Pooler will do it by 1 point.
1 point. Oh. He is calling it tight this week. Okay.
And I want a few cards in this game as well. I want to see some yellow cards in this game. I don't want to see no friendliness. Yeah. I want to
just
see
yellows
for the betters, John.
Shit out of each other.
for the betters, it's already for the better.
No, I just want to see these two batter each other.
I love it.
Good old-fashioned Pontypool Park in the pissing down range. Just go out there and smash each other.
Have a smash, yeah. Love it.
I think you've just sold another 1,000 tickets, mate. Honest to God. Okay, RGC get to play at home again against Carmarthen Quins. I believe in RGC is something I've already said a few times this season, and I really do. I'm back home on their own surface. I think they are a completely different animal, like we've alluded to earlier. As good as the Quins have been in attack, it can't be underestimated how important this travelling factor really is.
Yeah.
And, if this was maybe 2 or 3 more games down the line and Quins had a run of 2-3 wins, then I might be thinking differently. But having to travel up there, RGC will be really kicking themselves for letting Ebbw Vale really come back in and take our game away from. I'm expecting a big bite back from RGC this week. So, Joe, over to you, my friend. What's going on here?
Yeah, it's funny. Carmarthen Quins are a weirdly strangely difficult side to predict, aren't they? They get a slapping down at Cap, and then they turn around and beat a decent pack in Pontypool at home. I just think, for me, the weather will be a bit of a leveler again in this one. The travel is definitely a factor when you've got to go to RGC for anybody. But I just think RGC are at home on a carpet, and I think Quins will still be having nightmares of the carpet at Cap. So I'm tipping RGC to score in excess of 35 points. And if they do that, I think they win by 7 minimum.
So RGC, I've got 2 votes for you. John, what are the bookies saying, and where is your vote going?
The bookies have got RGC favourites this one, 1-4, Carmarthen 5-2. 10 points head start they're giving Carmarthen in this one. I personally think that's sounding about right. RGC have won 3 out of the last 5, including the last game between these two up in RGC. Like you boys were saying, I think if this was down in Carmarthen, I'd have a different winner, but I think because it is up there on that pitch with the travelling, RGC are playing very good rugby, and not to say Carmarthen as well. These two teams have really impressed me this year. They've been the standouts in the fact that we both picked them to be the 2 bottom sides. We've all picked them to be the 2 bottom sides, and they've surpassed what we expected, I think. So I think the bookies have got us pretty spot on. I'm going to say RGC around the 10-point mark.
So there we go. That now brings us on to our Thursday night game, and sadly, no team news has come through. I'm literally
come on.
I am clicking on it, I'm refreshing, and like, please, somebody give me something to go off. Don't they realize we need these team sheets to really give a good prediction for the Thursday night game?
Got millions listening around the world, but you're waiting for this news.
The millions and millions, exactly.
Millions,
We've got the biggest crowd in the world, so we're gonna have to base them off, previous sides. Llandovery have actually made a fair few changes in the last couple of games, but I don't think that back line is going to change at all. We saw Ed Scragg and Chris Long come back, and Ed Scragg making his first appearance of the season against Newport. So they certainly seem to do their job very, very well. I mean, Swansea obviously looking for their first win. It's not good to be going to the reigning champions, and they're looking as if they've got a bit of mojo back. So I can't see anything other than a Llandovery win on this one, I'm afraid, Swansea. I'd like for you to come close, but honestly, the way I'm looking at it, I'm thinking this could be a 6-pointer for Llandovery. John, straight to you.
It's hard to disagree with any of that, yeah. Bookies have got Llandovery 1-18, Swansea 7-1, with 21-point head start. The bookies are giving Swansea.
Wow.
Llandovery have won the last 5 meetings between these two, and scored 45 plus points in the last 3 times they played each other. I wouldn't fancy probably anyone going up Llandovery and getting a win there. I know Ebbw Vale did, but I did pick it, but I can't see how Swansea are going to go to Llandovery after Llandovery's performance last week as well. They're going to be bouncing. And I can't see I can't see anything other than a Llandovery win here, probably with a 6-point bonus as well. Not to say Swansea can't come away with a try bonus, man. They are scoring tries, but they're going to need to you're going to need to score 30 plus points down there to come close and stop Llandovery scoring. And I just don't see how they're going to do that. I think most teams would struggle to do that.
Yeah, and we've already got to add in the point that we mentioned earlier, the Ospreys could be taking a few boys away from this Swansea side. So they're not getting any gimmies at all in any way for this fixture.
No.
So, Joe, is it going to be the first clean sweep? Are we going to see a Thursday night win for Llandovery?
Yeah, I just think Llandovery, they still haven't got a win on their new carpet. I think Jack Davis looked really lively from full back last week, and you could begin to see his influence in the game in the wider channels. And I think a week on, having that bit of experience and getting back familiar with the boys, I think will do Llandovery the world of good. I think the returnees add something for Llandovery. And on the flip side, you can see that Swansea side maybe losing 1 or 2 stars to the Ospreys, as you've mentioned. And I also just think that winning is a habit thing. Swansea don't have it at the moment, and that's the last place you want to be going is down to Llandovery. So, I'm predicting only 5 points for Llandovery, not 6, but I'm fully expecting them to get a try and a bonus point. And, I'm going to predict Jack Davis to get at least 1 try as well.
Yeah, Jack Davis is an incredibly talented player. I'm expecting to see more of him at the URC level, quite shortly. But there we have it. That's all the games done for this week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll be back again next week. And thank you to a gorgeous gentleman for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye, everyone.
Cheers up. Take care.
Cheers, everyone. Ta-ra.
That was the Super Rugby Cymru podcast. Please rate, review and share us on socials if you can, and join us again next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.